And we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey's 12 Days of Christmas, shaved down to 11. This is the last night that we're going to be doing of the 12 Days of Christmas. We kind of lost our guest for tomorrow night, and just said, Danielle, let's just make this the last one. It fitting that we've got the man himself, Mr. Mark Zaskey, here with us, for a creator of Crypto Reality. You're going to be able to find that on Patreon, and there's a link in the description for that. Thank you for joining us here, Mark.
What's going on?
Hey, man. You know, another day, another dime.
Yeah. How you doing, Danielle?
Doing good.
Yeah, you hanging in there?
Just about.
Is it 1 or 2? Is it 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. there?
1 a.m.
1 o'clock. Yeah.
Feels like I've been doing this for a month.
I know. You have.
A soldier.
Yeah.
Well, this is 11 shows in a row, plus the shows you do on Hidden Existence. So, yeah, it'd be nice if you made a lot of money doing this. Huh? It'd be all right.
That's the sad thing about it. It's like,
yeah. Well, look, we do make money doing this. About $20 a show, 25 on a good. You know, we get sometimes. Just depends.
Every quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, enough to get some groceries, not bad. But you know what? That's not why we do it. We're here to push awareness, and no better person to do that with than Mr. Captain Mark Zaskey. We'll call him that. He's you've been on the boat for a while. What have you been doing?
I've been fishing, man. Well, actually, you know what? Our job is like it's I don't know how it's like a misunderstanding, right? Like professional fisherman indicates like somehow you're catching fish most of the time, but it's really work on the boat and fix this thing that breaks every 5 minutes, some other system. And then, 10% of the time we get the luxury of going out and helping people catch fish. But
right. Plus fishing and not professional fish catching. You're actually fishing. You're getting people prepared to fish. But this is not just some little boat that you're out on, is it? This is a beast, right?
Yeah, we're my brother and I are working an 88-footer right now.
An 88-footer.
Foot sport fishing boat.
Wow.
Like an $11 million boat. Big boat, man.
Yeah.
The engine huge in this thing, man. Yeah.
So you go all over the Bahamas, all over the South Atlantic, right? Fishing.
The operation's capable of doing that, but right now we're home, and with everything that's been going on and the seriousness of the closures, and especially the Bahamas, everything's been so unsettled because of COVID that people are, reticent to make decisions to commit to go places, because halfway there, after they've spent, 15 grand fueling up and, or 50 grand fueling up, whatever they need, and they find out it's closed or it's going to close. And once you're there, you can't just leave. You know what I mean? It's like you got to stay because there's some kind of a COVID situation going on, and the U.S. reacts. So it's one of those situations. You know what I mean?
How long
a lot of stuff going on right now in this industry is affected by COVID a lot.
Florida's not shut down though, is it?
No, we're off closures, but over the last year, it's been well, first of all, the Bahamas got hammered last year. You know what I mean? I mean, that hurricane that sat there and just ground them into dust, the year before. It's horrible, man. And they've been getting pounded for years, but this one, they're devastated down there. It still looks exactly like it did on CNN after the storm in a lot of places over there. I mean, they're working hard, but the Bahamian people are pretty much on their own now, kind of. I mean, they're getting relief, but so yeah, it's been difficult. They've had a lot of closures. COVID is out of control down here, and I just got over it. Me and Mel just got over it 3 weeks ago. So it was serious, we took it serious, so we made it,
Yeah, Linda's, she's a charge nurse at the hospital here now. She actually got a job right here in town, and it's not as bad as it was, but I think they're still getting cases, and it's still dangerous for old people and not quite so bad for younger people with no health issues,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
I'll tell you, the one thing I could say was this, right? Like it was like if you got rest and you didn't push yourself, to me, it was like for us, it was like a really serious cold that tried to go into our lungs, but we used preventative medicines and it stayed out. So thank goodness we were healthy enough where it didn't get in our lungs. I could see where people with lung issues could have problems with this for sure.
Right.
But
I think that's the deal. I
well, I was
got
kind of surprised. We were, after all the hype and everything, man, Kerry, I was thinking, oh God, here it comes, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going to happen here. So I was on edge.
It's scary.
But,
it's scary.
It wasn't as bad as for us as I guess obviously for some people.
Well, I think I had it back in February, but like I was telling you earlier, one of the drugs on the treatment list is ibuprofen. Well, I've been taking that for 2 years. So I think that's what helped me. Now, I haven't tested positive for any antibodies or anything, but I've been around it enough. Linda, she takes some precautions coming home, but we've been pretty lucky. I mean, a lot of people around here have come down with it. I mean, they've gotten over it. We know very, very few people that have actually gotten really seriously bad effects from it and had to even be on a ventilator because of it. But I mean, hey, it's one of those things. We're glad you're okay.
Yeah, man.
For sure. And Melanie as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So let's get into this. I've got the team back together. We are coming down there at the end of March for sure. I'm going to be making a trip down there, probably just me and Linda before that to film with you and Melanie. But we got to get these guys down there to make this 7-part series.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And in the place we originally planned to go, and get this thing done. It's been almost a year, and it will be a year by the time we actually get to go down there. But this is happening, and I'm back to work again.
That's great.
Crazy. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It is. It's not as good as it was, but it's better than sitting here trying to figure out how to make money off YouTube. We did our very best. I'll tell you that much.
Diversification, man. I'm telling you.
I did the Shudder. Did 50 videos on the Shudder in 92 days.
That's a workload, dude.
165 stories on the Shudder. If you want to go listen to some stories, some Bigfoot stories and ghost stories and dogman stories, I told 165 of them, and they're all right there. They're all there on the Shudder. So haven't had time to get with that. I worked on episode 13.
Shutdown, wasn't it? That
was
my
my
shutdown.
That was. I worked on the episode 13, Odyssey 13. I worked on that all day today. It's getting really close to done. I talked to Mark Copeland on the phone about a few things. It's going to be good. It's very hard hitting, especially the after effects of him having to move his family and everything. It's and I talked to you about that, Mark, and wanting to go up there possibly and check it out. But I don't think they're there all the time. I think they come a certain time of year. So maybe wintertime next year, we'll have the capabilities to hit the road. But there is something I wanted to ask you. I'll show your pictures. You send me these pictures of these incredible images whenever you and Melanie go or whenever you find them, and I show them on here sometimes. And I'm just like, remind people, this is where we're going. This is what is down here, these huge things. But there's something that I wanted to know. You've searched for Bigfoot all over, from Washington to Carolinas to Maine, and a lot there in Florida. What are the proclivities, the natural inclinations of these creatures, as far as you can tell? Are they different from anywhere else?
I don't think so. I think that we're seeing stuff. I mean, we're learning new stuff now. For something that's been going on, I don't know what's going on, but something's going on in our areas because they have turned on, and there's some individuals in our areas now that haven't been there before, and they're brazen, and they don't mind standing right up and looking, and Mel's seeing them, and I'm seeing them, and Melanie, the picture I sent you guys, she looked at me and said, "There's a Zaskey. I'm seeing one, Mark," and I was like, "Film him," So she filmed him because she was up on the observation point.
That's the
And she
one
was
that
like, he's huge. I
the
just
two
sent
foot.
it to Daniela, actually, I think.
Okay. Was that the
That's
one
the
that I
one,
put
yeah.
up here?
He was staring right at him. He was staring right back at my wife, man. And just like, probably from the shoulders up. Huge
Oh yeah.
head, man.
That's
Huge. And she was like, he's got some kind of, I don't know, man. There's something going on with this group of individuals that just arrived in
that's
this
better
area
right
that
there.
is different than the ones that we've been studying. And the
No.
ones that we were used to are used to us. And these guys are just like wild, man. They just came out of nowhere. And so I'm looking at the area now, and some of the stuff that we're seeing in the footage and some of the activity that is going on now is we're learning a lot, man. You know what I mean? The study's evolving more because we're just seeing these things now, and like, everything that we've learned is brought us to like another whole level of this. And so it's always, something, you're confronting in yourself, I mean, I don't know, man.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
The
You're studying.
difference in these Sasquatch would only be, I think, Carrie, regional stuff, like what they eat.
Right.
I think that sure, your mountain dwelling individuals are probably bulkier and more muscular, but I don't in any way see how the individuals that we're seeing are diminished in any way, any capacity. Like they're monsters. You know what I mean? I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's not. Patty is nothing compared to what's out there.
Well, how tall was that one?
Nothing.
You told me, but I want everybody else to hear it. How tall was that one?
Which one?
The one we just showed.
I can't be sure because there were so many. But the area that individual standing in is in a 3-foot depression, and we looked at the footage, and it's between 10 and 11 feet tall. And the head itself at that height has to weigh close to 100 pounds. The head you're staring at.
Yeah.
It's wider than a pine tree, man. It's a monster. And these are the kind that we have yet to really have eye to eye with these kind of things. We're seeing like more traditional kind of Sasquatch, you know what I mean? And these things are, I don't know, man. They're huge.
It looks a lot better. It's not as clear on here as if you see it. You can see the smoothness of the skin. You can see where the eyes are looking.
The image is in 5,000 resolution.
Well,
Period,
it's
man.
this is
with YouTube,
stream
you're gonna, the stream rate is gonna diminish that. So, but
yeah. Well, StreamYard's
it's
not
nuts.
not
It's like
the
nuts,
greatest.
So I don't know, Carrie. I've heard stories and taken reports and investigated stuff all over the country and heard about giants in these mountainous areas. I just never heard about these gigantic Sasquatch in the state of Florida like this. I mean, not this far south. I mean, you get up near Georgia and you start hearing stories. I've heard stories up in those areas about 10-footers. But this, I mean, especially where it's going on. I mean, this is like literally like, it's been hard to process what we're seeing, man. You know what I'm saying? I just put it that way because the implications of what's going on at this time, like before what was going on in our research areas, you witnessed. But I'm here to tell you, the shit has jumped up a notch, right? Like a couple notches. And like, so we're trying to figure out what to do next because literally these things are okay with being very close to you and they're very big.
Mm-hmm.
We actually didn't think any of them were there Sunday when we went. And I walked back in there and was looking around and Melanie filmed them. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? So we're looking like she was filming me talking and I'm shooting. And then here this thing is, one of the giants is like right over there, dude. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and we didn't know because here's the thing, man. They understand what's going on, man. They understand what's going on. I'm telling you, because where these things are, there are people. There are people. I mean, there are people. And I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at the footage and it makes me nauseous. even thinking about the implications of what's going on. But it's going on. And I'm telling you right now, you're not putting a collar on one of these things. You're not doing any of that shit people come up with on how to deal with this. You're not dealing with it anyway, but one way. There's only one way you're going to get rid of this indigenous population of gigantic aborigines that we're seeing and we're catching on film. And I don't think anybody really wants to have that conversation, but I can tell you right now, it doesn't look like the type of individuals that will surrender. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the truth. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the truth of North America. Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, it's fucking freaked me out. These other Sasquatch that we've been studying, dude, I'm telling you right now, the things that we're seeing are huge. They're twice as big, man. This shit isn't even, I mean, this is a whole new level of, like, I never thought anything like this.
Now you say that, but you know, you call one you call Big Ugly, you got him at least 5 or 6 times on camera, standing just around the same area. You got him standing up. No, Melanie has him standing up. I hear myself coming back again, by the way. So I don't know if you can find some way to fix that. Okay, that's better. Melanie's filming you. This is 2015, 2016, a long time ago. Melanie's filming you, and you called him Banana Head. He stands up, and he's got this grimace on his face. He's looking at you like, what in the hell are you two doing here? And then there's something on his head, right? It looks funny looking. And then he sits back, comes back down again. And you called him Big Ugly because he was big and ugly. That thing's pretty big.
I mean, it's big. There's no doubt, you know. I mean, we've been around for a long time, but I'm telling you what's going on now is completely different.
Well, you saw one on thermal.
It's not supposed to be going on where it's going on.
You saw one of these massive things on thermal, right? I've told this story for you too, since you've told it to me a couple of times, not here, but on the phone, just talking to people, like Brad. I told it to him, and because he's going to go down there, and I want to prepare these guys for what they could potentially run into, especially at night.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you that that if you've talked with Germer, what Germer describes is happening here.
Yeah.
The giant thing, man, is real. Okay. And it's here. And there's a bunch of those aside from, like, it's not just one, dude. And there's, you know, it's just in the footage. I'm looking at the footage and I'm thinking, man, you know, half of it, I'm just like, I can't show this. Like, this is like, I can't, it's like ridiculous. It looks ridiculous. It's ridiculous what you see. There's a pine tree, man. It's bigger than, the head is bigger than the pine tree. I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking, first I saw it and in the footage, well, you know, when it's all going on and she's like, I'm staring at this thing and all this, I'm trying to keep the apples going far enough so they don't keep coming forward towards us. Because I'm just trying to keep them off of us at that point. Because when they start moving, you don't know what's going to happen. They can, dude, a big one can make a sound like a muskrat, you know?
Yeah.
Or a mouse coming through the bushes. And all you see is like a little bit of movement because they're so agile on their hands. You know, I don't like to use the term on all fours because that's not the way to describe it. They're bipedal, man. So they simulate quadrupedal movement. They're on their hands, man. They're fucking using their hands, not, you know, so that's what it is. And when they're doing that, they can do things, man. I'm telling you, I've seen them stuff scoot through bushes and you think it's little. And then all of a sudden, man, this dude's peeking out from behind a tree and you're like, what? You know, like, this thing's huge, man. You know what
That's
I mean?
$20. That's 20 in the swear jar, by the way.
Sorry about that. You know what? It's been a traumatic 2 weeks.
I know it has.
This is the scenario. Let me lay it out for you. I just came out of the field over a 2-week span of 5 expeditions where things were happening at a level in our research area that you can't even come close to. I never thought anything like this would ever. It was just like, oh, people are here. oh well. You know what I mean? And dude, I was standing there and Melanie was filming, talking about this one she's filming, and a guy on a bicycle rode past me and said, and I quote, "This fucking thing's staring at me. Look at this thing over here. Look at this thing staring at me." And he's like, "We got to get out of here. We got to go. We got to go." And then two people rode off on bikes 60 feet from me, right where I was throwing the apples. And she was filming the whole thing. And I'm just looking at the whole situation, and it's like, okay, I'm there and I can't see over what she's over filming because we just got lucky, man. And a tree was downed in the right spot. And so we can use this huge down tree to stand on. I mean, it's huge. So it gets us up. You can get your camera 12 to 14 feet up, you know, and point it right down in that tree line. And they're right in there, you know. I mean, this whole thing is, and they're about 80 yards away. And they're in a 3-foot depression, or they're up on an edge. And if they're real close to the edge, a lot of times there's a hill there, so they could be shorter. But when they're back, and it's easy to tell the distance, and the plants are all, you know, different. You're moving through 2 ecosystems to get to the creek bed, and you can identify that if you know what you're looking at, and on film. And then you can see these huge individuals that are in a 3-foot deep creek, obviously, and they're still 10 feet. Like, dude, I don't even want to get into that junk, man. I'm just hoping he's like standing on the edge of the creek and he's not in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds ridiculous, all of it. I never thought in a million years I'd be saying this stuff. Do you know what I mean?
You sent me a picture, and I know you haven't really shown it to anybody else. And you talked about the giant, because I saw he was looking between 2 little something there, and I could see the lips, and the distance between the mouth and the nose was about like that. And this nose, and this, you could just see one eye through this thing. It was cartoonish, huge.
Yeah.
It was that big. And I know you haven't shown that to anybody else. It's good. It's clear, but you can't see everything. You can only see part of the lips, really voluptuous, you know, lips, and this long distance between the nose, and it's like this long.
Yeah, that was the one that just peeked out, and his face was the thing that was showing. It was like kind of eyeballing me to the side like that. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
It was like, we got some freaky stuff, but I'm just here to tell you, I don't know what's happening right now, man. And Mel and I are like, okay, so what do we do now? So, you know, we've come up with a couple of plans. Thermals, you know, we're working on the thermal stuff right now. We did our first thermal over there together in the daytime. The nighttime, you can't even be in here. And now I'm like, okay with that. I'm like, oh, the sign says we had to be out by dark. Oh, I'm okay with that. Let's go. You know what I mean? I don't think we need to be in here at night. That's where my thinking is. I'm all set. I'm like looking at the sun, waiting. I'm like, okay, well, it's within 30 minutes of sundown. Time to go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I just sent that picture.
You get out in these areas, and it's like, okay, you're studying, and you get used to these patterns. And what has happened, Carrie, is this new thing that just happened, this new group that came into our area has broke all the standards and patterns that we're used to. This is like what we hoped it would be like in the beginning. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's
well, one more thing before Daniela jumps in. I just
sent it to.
Do what?
Wait, what'd you say?
Where have you sent it to?
I just sent that picture to Mark. I sent it back to you.
Oh, you
no, the one I was
somebody's tearing me up over here.
The one I was talking about. I sent it back. I sent it back to you.
Oh, because you need to. I need to look at it. Hang on.
And I don't think you showed any. I don't think you showed
big one there.
That. That's a monster.
Yeah. Right, you can show that big one if you want. I mean, show them both. I don't care, man.
I'll send it to Daniela right now. I'm sending you this one, Daniela. It's insane, really.
This is one of the ones that freaked me out.
Well, I don't have that much context for it, and I can still tell you that this head has got to be 2 feet tall.
Yeah, no, it is, man. And the context is this: it's standing in front of a row of saw palmettos that are 8 feet tall. That thing's head is 2 feet, right? You just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably 18 to 20 inches wide. And I don't want to go in there. I'm not doing that, man. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's not hard for somebody to look at that and say, "Oh, well, that looks like pareidolia." It is not pareidolia,
Sure. Yeah,
but it isn't.
okay.
Well,
all that retarded shit. All you got to do is just like actually do the work. If you want to actually have an educated opinion on what's going on in reality, go out in reality.
It looks like there's another one there
computer,
beside.
bro.
It looks like there's another one there beside him. But this thing has a huge, long upper lip, really thick, voluptuous lips. You can see one eye really good. You can actually up close see the white in the eye. It kind of looks like cat eye. Not that clear, but
dude, that thing's huge, man.
Yeah, it's not that clear on here. Danielle, you got your cursor? Giant. Do you see it?
I can't see it.
All right, move your cursor to the left. All right, back to the right a little bit. A little bit. All right, you're between the nose and lips right now.
They're looking for tiny stuff. They got to look bigger.
Yeah.
You're already zoomed in on the whole face. All you got to do is like, the whole face is like, if you pull out, you have a much better time figuring out what's there.
Actually, that looked okay right there, what you just did.
Yeah.
Okay, you see those lips right below your thing?
Lips there?
Yep, half of them. Go up and you'll see a nostril.
Nostril
then. Pudgy nose.
Must be the eye then.
That's it. You can actually see the whites of the eyes on either side of it there. And that's all. The problem is it's a bunch of bush in front of it, and he's just peeking through. You can only see half of his face through there. You can't see the whole face. It's not out in the open, but you can see it good enough to know that that's a hoss right there.
That's danger.
That's danger. Stranger danger.
That's danger, man. I remember in 2015, some dude was trying to fry me. He's like, Zaskey said skepticism's unhealthy. And so you look at that picture and tell me if you want to be skeptical about walking in there. Look at that picture, smart asses.
I think a certain type of skeptic is not bad because of researchers, not because of evidence.
I was talking about field. You come in the field with that junk, man, and you wander in some bad places, bro. Right? You got to know where you're going. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody's going in there on purpose. Are you kidding me?
Well, we did.
Well, I know. Yeah, but you also had a purpose. I mean, no one's just going to wander in there. You kind of had an idea what you were going after, or at least you knew something was out there. Heck, you found an 18-inch footprint. That had to be a really, really big clue. Well, I want to ask you this. You actually caught one on the drone a while back when you first got the drone in the front of Area 4. You guys paid the $5, went in, you were fishing, and you flew the drone down there, and you just turned it. There was one of those big heads right there. I remember that. And it was almost unreal, but there were others in there that you could see. I want to ask you this, though. Everywhere you've gone, you found these creatures. Does that worry you that they just are everywhere down there, apparently?
Well, no, man. I mean, this was happening. This same thing was happening, like 3 people getting together talking about this in 1920. You know what I'm saying? It was happening in 1858. This has been going on and on and on and on and on and on. And the one constant is the authoritarian denial. The whole time, man. You go back in history, you look at this. So I just, I look at it and I say, okay, well, what really is the reality? All you got to do is read, and you go back in those reports, what you're going to find is this has been going on since and reported by European settlers, which pretty much almost all of us are of one country origin or another, with the exception of the Native Americans, right?
Yep.
And the Africans, and we come over here and it's nothing but woods. And it's nothing but Sasquatch and tribes, man. And they're all telling us, and people are seeing it. You go back. It's like one of those things where history confirms everything as we go forward, unless you listen to the institutionalized information. And the institutionalized information is the same information, Kerry, that made it okay to massacre 4 million American Indians, Native Americans. So, like, when does the public wake up and go, you can't take one without having all that other shit too. Know what I'm saying? And so, like, maybe do some independent investigation is the way I say it, right? So if you go back and you look, all of this has been going on. All we did was steal it from the Native Americans who were essentially squatting on Sasquatch land. This whole thing is a cycle of who's, and it's like the Aborigines. Nobody owns it, right? But everybody thinks they do here. It's just the one people who belong to it are still here. And they truly, based on what we're seeing, especially now in the last 2 weeks, are American Aborigines, man. They're Aboriginals. Everything about them is Aboriginal. I mean, they are embedded in South Florida's environments. And if mainstream scientists, if there has ever been a mainstream scientist, or if a mainstream scientist of any kind of discipline would like to learn about this and see this for themselves, it's very simple. Very simple. You know what I mean? I think all of this is overplayed. And I think that when you say we see them everywhere, that's one way to put it, right? The other way is every single place we've been called in by people who have seen Sasquatch or have some kind of a disturbance that's related to Sasquatch activity on their property, which is really the truth of the matter. So it's not like we go places and then inadvertently find Sasquatch. That's not really what's going on. Now, we can study maps and put people in the best possible positions to see or find evidence of a Sasquatch. We can do that. Crypto reality has the data that will allow us to do that for anyone who's willing to learn how to do that. But in the end, we were invited because people were having problems or had nuisance on their property or wanted explanations for what was going on. And so we made films of that stuff. And the reality is, in those instances, every time a homeowner or a property owner called us, the situation turned out to be hominoids. It did. And we were able to find tracks in every one of these situations, including the Pacific Northwest. In fact, in the Pacific Northwest, we were able to find a game trail with signs of brachiation, trees broken all the way down the sides of this game trail. The exact game trail Germer saw that giant group of Sasquatch come down there. I was like, tell me when to stop when he came out on the road. I'm standing right there in front of his Hummer. And he said, right about there. And I look up and there's a huge game trail and 100 saplings broken all the way down it or bent to the ground where they're jumping, just like Woody said, hopping down the mountain and grabbing trees to slow down like Tarzan as they're coming, the exact shit they witnessed. So I literally found physical evidence that they were telling the truth. And it was what, a year and a half, 2 years later? Because the same Sasquatch still lived there and they're still using the trail. And to prove that, I said, let's go down to the creek. So we drove exactly down the mountain and came to the edge of the creek where that trail came all the way down and found a Sasquatch track. Right at the bottom of the creek where they come down every night to drink water. 2 + 2 is 4. You just got to put stock in it and then follow up. And you'd be amazed what you find sitting down in a lawn chair at 3:30 in the morning at that creek, I bet.
Yeah, no doubt. We've getting that down feedback again.
It's just common sense thinking, buddy. You know what I mean?
Well, we've been in there. We went into Area 4, you and me and Melanie at night, and had a pretty hair-raising experience in there. It wasn't fun for me. Anyway, I know you find it kind of humorous now because you've laughed at me about it several times. What about going at night anywhere around there? Doing that?
I mean, there's one place that I will go because it so far has remained, safer than the other places. So, but even with the thermal encounter, we'll still use that place. We have a unique opportunity there where we can, I have good drone skills, man. So you and I, we're gonna pound the area with the thermal drone. I don't see it taking more than a week to get unprecedented thermal footage of a group of Sasquatch, and hopefully one of those big individuals like I saw in the thermal. I'm pretty sure there were 4 or 5 very large individuals and one individual that looked like a monster. I mean, a monster. And so, I'm like thinking, I mean, I threw up, from that. I went around the corner. As soon as I got my wife and Scotty out of there, I threw up everywhere, man. I was choking and gagging and dry heaving, man. It freaked me out to my core seeing them things on the thermal. And I got a good damn look at the ones that were like 18 feet from me laying on the ground.
Scott got a really good.
Yeah, man, we're golden, man. I mean, they're there. I can tell you right now, if they were there for us, them guys and all the shit that they do, they're not going anywhere. Like I said, they're embedded like ticks, and nobody can do anything about them short of bringing in the proper units, and they're going to make a mess. And they ain't going to do it, or they would have done it. They're not going to do it, or they would have done it. They would have brought in the big guns, or put a big hole in the earth somewhere. They can do that too. You know what I mean?
How much of them are you going to be able to get at that time of year? I mean, is there a chance of getting from head to foot? I mean, I know that's, maybe asking a bit too much, but what's the kind of foliage and plant life like in?
It doesn't change that much, really.
Well, no, I mean, it's not that. It changes. Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Kerry. What happens is everything does the same thing it does up north. It is like it just gets super, super thick and green in the summer, and then it looks like, dead for the rest of the year. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. You know what I mean? But there's certain plant species. There's certain plant species that remain lush and green, and so those would be, instead of like when you go to the store and you don't want to buy perennials, you want to buy like an annual. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker will last, right? So that's what you want. Well, they got that. They know what's green all year. They live in them. The cabbage palms and the saw palmettos are residences for these guys all year long, because they can be up to 15 foot high. They can build tunnels and huge huts inside these things. And I've been inside them, and they do make them, and they are in them. They're in there. You want to, as soon as you go in one and you hit with the flies and smell and all that shit, you're just like, turn around. I'm not going in there. You branches breaking, and you're like, go, get the fuck out of here, man.
Well,
I think we've hit the bonus tonight on the Christmas money, haven't we? With Mark coming on.
I'll send you 100 now.
We're giving him a pass for originality, because this is just who he is, and this is actually who I am most of the time too. I was just on the phone with Todd Cummings earlier, and it was not for children. It was not for virgin ears, for sure.
I'll try to control myself for the rest of the show. Sorry about that.
We've done it now, so what?
Yeah. If that's the worst thing the kids are going to hear these days,
Yeah.
So the foliage. I'll tell you this right now. There's always something green, and there's always something thick, and they always have something they can just. I mean, it's hard to get in there all year long. So.
Well, this is the thing with the thermal drone, is you can get at that angle that they're not as hidden behind things. They're still going to be hidden behind some stuff. You're going to see apex, shoulders, probably some arms going through if we happen to catch them moving. But a full body is going to be a lot to ask for. I just don't think they expose themselves like that, especially when people are around.
Well, you know what, man? From the research standpoint, anytime you put yourself in a position you can't immediately evacuate without tripping or getting impaled on some kind of spiky shit, don't do it. You know what I mean? Because you can be in situations down here, and man, I gave the guys safety briefings and stuff like that when we were talking last year. We'll go over that shit again. In the end of the day, it doesn't matter if there's a tree in between you and him. If he wants to get you, he's coming to get you. And there's nothing you can do. But the precautions that's why one of the things we do, Kerry, is we stay back and we rely on the technology. When we started to see that these things were okay with moving closer, and you've been with us and you've experienced that, so you know that's the case. They will continue coming in.
Yeah.
There's only one reason for that. What? Is there another reason for it?
I don't want to think about the reason.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So what? They come in and you and I happen to doze off, not knowing they're there. Well, we're sitting literally that night in a place 1 mile from the 2 campsites that 2 men went missing 2 nights in a row. And we're never on television. No one said anything in the news about it. I confronted them. We were talking with law enforcement. They were running around. Listen, man, this is like for real stuff. So the night thing, one place is where I'm willing to do. And obviously in the location that we plan on having the guys come in for the major expedition. Know what I'm saying?
Is that the place?
Because that's a big part of it. Those two are linked, Kerry.
Is that the place you and I went and found the track that you're talking about?
That's right. Yeah. Those places are linked geographically. It's just you got to go around, 70 ways from Sunday to get into each one of them separately. You know what I mean? It's interesting how they've made it very difficult. Very, very difficult. All except for one real thin forest corridor. And I'd be willing to bet my bottom dollar that it's wired for sound and they got cameras all through it that are satellite fed and they can see what images are being taken on cell phones in that corridor in between those 2 giant wilderness areas. Mm-hmm. It's only a couple 100 yards in one spot. I know they got cameras there. If these groups, these rovers, this roving hunting group that just showed up in our area is capable of moving through this area that I know intimately by map topographically, especially by map. I've studied this place, you know what I mean? And in this area, there's only a thin forest corridor leaving out of there on both ends. Mm-hmm. And in both cases, it's like interesting how it's working. The geography is steering them back. The geography is basically an endless jogging track is what they're giving these creatures. If they go any way in any direction outside of that track, they hit development. Agriculture, housing, residences, fucking commercial. I mean, dude, it's nuts. It's literally nuts, but this is what they're doing.
Let me ask you this. When we went, when you're going down that levee, it's kind of like the road we found the track on. And I'm going to say this was a perfectly pristine footprint, and it was a very odd shape. It wasn't big, probably about 10 inches, but it was bare, and it was out where you're just not going to be in bare feet. And but very square looking. It was very strange looking track. And the
one that was emaciated.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Then super thin hill.
You want it? I'll give it to you if you want it.
I've got it somewhere. I just have to go back and look for it. But
yeah, it would take
to the right, going in to the right, there's a cow pasture with a bunch of black Angus cows in it that I know you've mentioned and never seen anyone in there tending cows. Do you think that that's there for a reason?
Oh, well, I mean,
I'm not talking about feeding people either.
No, I think now it's there for a reason. Yeah. Yeah. I think now it's there for a reason. Honestly, I think there's a high probability that the pasture or the ranch itself is occupied by someone who's studying the Sasquatch, because it strikes me as odd that the drones and the craft that we witnessed using infrared technology to photograph the ground and then fly directly over the exact spot that they stay that I had the thermal encounter the following week, right? We literally, listen, man, they followed the exact track exactly to where I study my Sasquatch in these unidentified craft that had no running lights, that were, in fact, well, they had running lights, but they were infrared. You couldn't see them with the naked eye. As soon as you put the binocular on, the starlight thing, the infrared, you're like, there's craft flying all over this cow pasture. It's like, what? And you're like, and you take it off and there's nothing there. Put it back on, and it's like, it's not daylight, man. We're at night. You know what I mean? So,
right.
And I'm trying to ascertain what's a plane and what's not. What's the distance between these objects? At one point, one got about 60 yards from us. I watched this craft, which I perceived to be some kind of stealth drone technology, fly towards us take a picture of us forward flashing. It was flashing down too, but it forward flashed at Scotty and me.
You're talking about seeing. You're talking about seeing the infrared beam.
Oh no, the flash you're in the scope, man, in the infrared scope, and you're watching these craft. There's a bubble of light around them that it's basically like light distortion. Like you look at a street light in the middle of the night and you see that little aura.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not fooled by the aura. I can see it's a friggin' aura. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, there's a craft in there, and I'm trying to focus and see it. And what I saw looked like black and flat. So I thought, okay, there's a chance that this is, FWC technology, or somebody studying these friggin' things. I mean, there's no coincidence that there's no running lights. This is FAA broken regulations right there, right? You can't fly anything without registering with the FAA, and the craft has got to have running lights. Righty has to be what? Green. Lefty, red, right? So port and starboard, same thing, right? So here we are, man, right? Nothing on these craft. So what is it? What's going on here? Well, we've been researching this area for a long time, but of course we didn't have infrared goggles. It's military tech. I had an opportunity, right? So I'm like using the military tech, and here we go. First time we put them on, there's, craft flying all over the place in our research area. And I'm thinking, this can't be happening. So in thinking back, it's like when you make a realization, Carrie, that you literally had many experiences that you could possibly attribute to the Sasquatch over the years hunting in your place. Now I started in hindsight to see patterns in the behavior, both the non-existent ranchers and the fact that the ranchers that were around weren't really ranchers, and they acted like feds, and they came up on you in trucks that were like, fed trucks. And it was like really weird, man. And we're seeing all this, and no cows have ever been moved off of this place. Like you could film the same cow there over and 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 over. Like you could come back next year and his ass ain't going to be butchered. Okay. I got news for you. So I don't know what's going on over there, but my suspicion is they are studying the Sasquatch, because I witnessed those craft moving over the exact areas that we ourselves will fly your drone with those thermals.
And that's the only thing that worries me is one of those drones taking out my drone. That worries me. And do you think we'll be able to see them? Can we see them? Do you think we'll be able to see them with the XA20 on thermal, infrared?
Coming at the drone, smacking out of the sky.
You think that's more likely?
Well, it doesn't matter because we're back up filming. Yeah, I mean, monetarily, but I'm sure you'll be compensated at some point with that footage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in the end, I'm looking at the whole situation, and it's like, listen, if we can just keep it safe, it'll go just fine. It'll go just fine. We're going to have a bunch of old guys in the state of Florida, and they're going to be dying, okay? Because it's hot, and it's going to be hot, and it's going to be really bad, man. And I'm telling you, day three, when that monkey butt hits, that feet hurt, that back and that ass hurts, and everybody was like, okay, let's just take a break today, man, and all that shit.
No breaks.
And well, you know what? Hey, I always say the same thing. On a lay day, you just hang around the campsite, make as much noise as you can, and keep the cameras rolling.
There's going to be rain. They're going
to follow us back. Once we mess with them, they're going to follow. Somebody's going to get followed back. And in the middle of the night, all that bacon is going to be gone.
Well, Clay has already secured all our permits for the year, for everywhere that we need to go. We're not putting that information out right now. We're not putting out when we're going right now. Sometime in March, it's happening. We may have some cool nights. I'm hearing that feedback again.
Yeah, sure.
70.
Possible.
Avon.
I don't think so.
Miss Jean says take Avon. The skin's so soft.
No, March is just. Hey, listen, March is historically a very good time of the year, man. In our research, I was shocked by this December stuff. Best day we filmed was December 13th. Absolutely incredible. unbelievable. What, you're staring at some shots that were a part of that whole, 2-week span where I thought I was like, hallucinating, man. There was so much activity. It was like, man, this can't be happening. Like, but it was right there.
And this is the new area. You haven't gone to the old areas in a while, have you?
No. Well, that's what when you guys come, that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? I've been out of that area. I feel like there's a study going on in that area, and I'm contributing to like fucking it up. That's the bottom line. And I know someone's studying them, and I don't want to mess up. I know what it's like, man. Trust me. And like, here's the thing. Here's the funny part, right? The guy that's doing it, he isn't interested in whether it's being covered up, man. He's not interested in the authorities and how they're using it. He's freaking out, man. This is real, and I get an opportunity to do this and study these things. That's what he's thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you look at it, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we're going to do well because they're there, and I know how to get people to do the right thing so that we're going to get around them. And when we get around them, that's when all the bets are off and shit. Once we get around them and everybody starts going, whoa, man, whoa.
Well, that's going to be their job. My job is going to be to film the whole thing and tell the story. So, because that's
careful,
it's an important part of it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to be in there with them, but I'm not going to be, actively looking for them. I'm going to be filming these guys. I got another good camera. We got more good equipment.
I just heard about this, Kerry. Somebody told me yesterday there's a camera now that takes in all of the data, and that you can literally put it in software and it's crystal clear zooming in on it.
What kind of camera is this?
It's brand new. And he's getting one, and he said, dude, if it's what I think it is, I'm sending it right to you. Because I'm like, I can't wait. We're on it right now. So apparently it's some kind of new technology, man, that you can literally, when you put it on a timeline, you can zoom in on this and it doesn't lose resolution. Have you ever heard of this? Because I'd never heard of this, but this camera shoots in a different way, supposedly. So
no, maybe Matt Larson's heard of it.
What's that?
Know. Maybe Matt Larson's heard of it. He's a photographer, been one for like 25 years. He knows a lot about cameras.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't seen him here, so
okay.
Not yet.
Any more questions, man? Anybody got questions or anything?
Yeah, let's take some questions. Why not? Danielle, don't you have a few things too?
Well,
I have a question for you, Daniela. When are you going to have
I'm running out of questions because I've done like 11 nights of Bigfoot. I'm overdosed on it, I think. And
oh, okay. Well, I don't even want to.
Well, I'm trying to think.
She's all like, never. Leave me alone.
Have you got a question for me, Matt? I'm just listening tonight. Have you got a question for me, Mark? Did you say?
Oh, yeah, I said, when are you going to have me on your show? But then you just said, I'm sick of it.
Oh, right.
So I was like, never mind.
No, in the new year, definitely. In the new year, I'll get in touch and we'll have you on, definitely.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've talked a lot, haven't we? So I know kind of what you're doing. But I mean, these big things now. I mean, do you really want to go, Kerry? I mean,
I've kind of put myself in a position where I can't not go.
Someone's put in the chat, would Daniela go? It's like, no, not after what Mark's just said.
No, he's going, you know what he's going through? He's going through shit. I just bought all this shit. Now I got to go use it.
Yeah. That's true.
It's like new information is introduced into the case, but it's too late.
I have this really bad. It's bad and it's good. It's a curse that Mark, and you know this. You've known this for a while. That if I say I'm going to do it, I have to go do it. And there's very few things that have been able to stop me from doing that. So I'm very careful about what I say I will go do. because I'm so guilty about not doing what I said I would. I feel like the whole film and feeling guilty, but they called me to work and I was out in the middle of nowhere working 14 hours a day. And I was like, okay, I'll come in after work and work on the film. No, I was wiped completely out for almost 3 weeks. So I'm working on it now. I worked on it all day today, and I'm trying really hard to get it out, guys. It's going to be good. I'll say that. But the one we do with you and Melanie, the one we do with you and Melanie is going to be really good. You guys have a
we'll
story.
See, man. I'm like, okay, well, and I was thinking too, what's he going to do, or when's he coming? So, I don't know when you're coming. We'll have to talk about that, but.
Sometime probably in February. I at least want to go down end of January, February, whenever you're available. Do you think these beings are ever predate on humans for food or predate on us as a territorial behavior response? Mike Singletary, not the Chicago Bear. Mike Singletary. I'll say that.
I think we're learning more every year, and I think that the behaviors that we have witnessed in their territory tells me that they're very tolerant of humans, but that there's a very clear line. And I think that when they get disturbed, and I have personally disturbed with my wife on several occasions, Sasquatch that were either at rest or just didn't want to be bugged. They measure their response to what happens when they confront you is what we see. So if I was to stand up and be aggressive against what had happened on multiple occasions to me and my wife, I believe that individual probably would have disappeared me. I believe that wholeheartedly, because I was terrified that we weren't going to get out on one occasion in particular. And these were Sasquatch that we'd been around for a long time. The problem is that groups are moving, and when groups are moving around, and this is what we witnessed the other day, this same escalation, what we're dealing with is like competition now, right? We're dealing with these guys that live in this creek bed and they're resident Sasquatch, man. They stay here. We've been filming them for 3 years. I've been feeding them for 3 years. They live there. They know who we are. They left 2 rocks. You can't find rocks in this area unless you dig. This is a wet pine prairie, man. There's no rock, man. It's like down deep. You know what I mean? They're putting limestone in our observation spots so that instead of me disturbing the whole community, somebody's getting slick. So instead of me going, whoa, and doing all my shit, and they come running through the bushes, a bunch of them, one of them put rocks over there so I can just go a couple of times, and Melanie heard him back. Right. So he's trying to be slicking out, but there's other ones. And see, the other ones, when they realize what's going on, it's like a feeding frenzy, and you get activity that you don't want. And when you don't want that activity is when they're coming in harsh, man. And they will come in harsh because there's some of them over there that are just big, gargantuan brutes, and they don't have a moral code, and they don't have Jesus, and they don't have Barack Obama, and they don't have Donald Trump. What they have is a hunger in their belly. So my answer is yes, they will disappear your ass, and you will probably be consumed. And I think that sometimes this happens sometimes all over the country in the right situation, where I think these hominoids, if haven't eaten in this group I saw, I think they'd eat you. Hands down. These things are terrifying. These aren't Patty. This is what we're seeing is there are classes of these things, is what I'm trying to lay out for people right now. And I've heard this for many years, but until I finally witnessed it, I couldn't put stock in it. Now I have data, so I don't need to believe anymore about that aspect of what we research. I have data to back it up, and I just showed you.
You sent me a picture, and it's just this thing's nose is this wide, and it's just sticking through. And there's a 5 or 6 inch pine tree right beside it, and his nose is as wide as a pine tree. Oops.
That sounds like a guitar.
And a dog, puppy, and a guitar.
Oh, okay.
I think
a coil. It sounded like a reverb spring or something.
Sorry, my dog got a hold of it. He was down there. What happened? He came up behind you guys, and you weren't expecting that. Remember you telling me that you had to film it. You heard him walk up, him, her, whatever, but put the camera this way, and there's this thing 60 feet back there, and you can see it's me. It's perfectly clear. You can see the eyes, nose, but it's just poking its head through this one little spot right by a tree, and it's all nose, but it's that sub-Saharan South African, style, really wide, broad.
You know what helps, man? I'm finding to give someone a corollary that's similar. So I've been telling people, look for what looks like the Incredible Hulk, because we're getting these big ones, and like literally the one we call Bruce Banner, man. This thing looks like what he looks like, the Hulk, man. I mean, it's scary, like you said, the nose.
Yeah.
And I got a shot. You can look up this guy's nostrils, man. Huge nostrils, man, sticking out. It's freaky.
Oh. There are no classes, are they? Really? We don't know, do we?
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I listen. There's people that are going to tell you there's classes, and I heard that. Many years.
Well, you talked about a different class. That's why I think this is where that's coming from, because you just mentioned a different class.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean, like, I heard that over the years, like there's classes of Sasquatch, and so I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? And apparently there are within these groups and within these areas, based on the data that we're actually pulling out of these areas, there are individuals with feet in excess of 21 inches. There are individuals with 18-inch feet. There are individuals with a foot that's the size of my wife's, depending on age and size. But we didn't know that a foot could exist that was bigger than 18 inches in this modern day time, because literally that's a biblical size footprint, dude. Okay. This isn't some so when I talk about the classes, I'm talking about the size, and I won't attribute behavior at this point, because so far they haven't done anything right to us. I mean, they watched, and you can see it. My wife said, "Hey, man, there's a Sasquatch right there. Should I film this thing?" And I'm like, "Film it right now. Get filming, baby." You know what I mean? And she got it. She was right there. It was staring at her. We just showed it, but it's huge. So that would be, in my opinion, based in our research, a different class of individual. It's huge. It's enormous. Yes, I've seen some really big ones, but not like this. Not like this. And that's not the only one. The couple that you've shown, Carrie, people, the deal is this, right? You've never been trained to see what this thing is, right? And there's a lot of really super blurry photos out there. Everyone I've showed, you're at a disadvantage.
Everyone I've showed sees them. Everyone, they see them. The last few that you sent me, they see them.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we've got good evidence, man. You know what I mean? We work our tails off and put ourselves in harmful situations to do this, and we have, and we'll continue being as safe as we can. But the reality is you're looking at what's there. There ain't no such thing as safe. If it wants you, it's going to come. And the remarkable is that they don't seem to want to do that. I think if you were in there, though, like I said, to what Singletary's question, isn't that his name? Singletary? Yeah. Singletary, man. Yeah, buddy. You don't see me. I don't do camping at night in my research videos anymore, dude. I just don't, man.
You told me that, and I relayed the message that you just don't go at night anymore.
No, I'm all set.
Well, we're going to go at night.
I mean, what we're going to do, though, Carrie, is we're going to use technology to keep ourselves a bit safer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'll probably eat those words, and they'll be at the parking lot and lift your truck and flip it. I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. Get that drone out of here, boy.
I'm more worried about wildlife officers. than I am the boogers. I don't think they're going to come that close. I think we can get the drone in there on them. I think we can get the drone in there on them in Area 4. If we go there, I think we're okay. The other place, I don't know. Where you threw up and all that, yeah, who knows? It's going to be iffy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I think it's a good idea, though. You know, I think it's a good idea because it's definitely a great spot to deploy over there, man.
This is why we're going. The reason we're going is to catch something better, something convincing, and tell the story of getting it. And there's no point in leaving out anything. We have to go. Someone's got to make this sacrifice. We've waited long enough for someone to do something like this, and we finally have the resources to do it. And so we're going to go do it. And if you hadn't done the work you've done, we would be nowhere. So thank you for that, for sure. You and Melanie.
You're welcome.
Oh,
we'll keep doing it too.
Yeah, I know you and I have some things in the works that we haven't really discussed with others yet for the future, the near future, for sure.
Yeah, I got a real good idea for us, and we'll have to get together and talk about that. I mean, I think what's going to happen is the next two things that go on are going to kind of solidify things. You know, some of my thinking on what we're doing is, you know, I mean, the one area we can get it done in. You know what I mean? We get it done in there, man. I've already seen what's there up close on multiple occasions, thermal and with my own two eyes. And I look at it, it's like, you know, that's enough. You give people the moments that I've had, and there's going to be a response. There's going to be a trauma response is what there's going to be.
That's what we need. We need people to open their eyes and realize these creatures are here. They exist. At least consider the possibility when you're out there. You don't have to believe any of it. Just consider it. That's all you got to do. But man, we're what a great hour, Mark. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us and about the same old stuff we talk about every time, but it's interesting every single time for sure.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully you'll be on Hidden Existence here before too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I gotta chat with you because you know what, Danielle, I got all kinds of stuff. I've been involved in cryptozoology for a long, long time, and I've done other investigations as well. I've worked with MUFON on investigation with UFOs. I worked with Dr. Lester for 4 years, man. You know,
I'll be in touch then, and we'll
a lot of stuff, crazy stuff. Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Definitely, I'll be in touch in the new year. We'll sort something out when I'm back to talking Bigfoot. I'm talking about it all the time, but it's been a long 2 weeks, you know, and I've been working.
You got to take some time off.
I know. I've got 5 days off after Christmas Day, so I'm going to do that then. No work.
Awesome. Well, hey, that's awesome.
Thanks again, Mark, for showing up. Daniela, great job as always. Tomorrow night, Christmas Eve, we're not going to see you guys, but Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys back between Christmas and New Year's. Brad and I probably will. I don't know about Daniela, but we'll be on we'll have the late show for sure, and hopefully we'll see you guys then. It's either going to be a Friday or Sunday. I'm not sure which one yet. But be sure you check out the link in the description for Crypto Reality on Patreon. It's $1.99 a month. $1.99, $2 every 30 days to help Mark and Melanie continue what they're doing. And we appreciate you guys. That's just the minimum. You can give whatever you want. So just keep that in mind when you're there. The minimum's $2, and you get some really, really interesting stories and videos from Mark, and it's just worth it. So go make sure you guys go check that out. Mark, thanks again for showing up, everybody.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Mark.
I'll give you a shout.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, everybody.